Well, Mary McCartney, who directs If These Walls Could Sing, joins me now. And it's, yeah, it must have been so interesting to delve into the archives and quite daunting as to what you choose. So much material.
Well, the thing is that it's a celebration of 90 years of Abbey Road Studio.
Wow.
So it opened in 1931. Edward Elgar opened the studio. So there's so much in it. It's like...
So much history.
I didn't know any of the history.
And it's kind of like a love letter to the studios, isn't it? It feels like that.
Yeah, you know what? I grew up going there, as you can see from this, as a kid.
That is so cute.
But I didn't know, until I was asked to direct the documentary, I didn't know it was 90 years. So I was like, there's so much... Obviously, the Beatles and Dark Side of the Moon was recorded there. There's a lot of historical moments, but there's so much more as well, like film soundtracks. Elton John's in it because he was actually a session musician. And that's when he says the smell of fear, because you had to arrive prepared. And, you know, he was a jobbing musician then. He was Reginald Dwight.
He was Reginald Dwight the first time he went there?
Yeah.
God, that's astonishing. And but he was kind of starstruck as well, wasn't he? He was, very much so.
But looking at this, I mean, the main reason I wanted to do this documentary is it's a really busy working studio still.
Right.
So people make the pilgrimage there. Like, if you go past that zebra crossing, there's always people there, and it feels like a real pilgrimage, like there's real meaning, like it's where people can congregate, people that love music. And so the documentary I film inside, I interview people inside, so the viewer will feel that they've been inside the studio.
That's what you want, you're right, you actually do feel, and you get that sense of history too. But this nearly never happened. This was quite an accident, this photo, wasn't it? Yeah,
because they were saying, what should we call the album they were working on? And then the engineer was smoking a packet of cigarettes called Everest, and they were like, should we go to Everest and do a photo shoot? And then they were like, let's just go out on the zebra crossing.
Just go out the zebra crossing. You're very casually, there they are, just walking across. I mean, that is one of the most iconic photographs of all, really. It really is. It's lovely to see footage of everyone, you know, of all of the Beatles and all of the people too, but especially of your mum. Yeah. Especially your mum, which is lovely. I mean, she was such a pioneer in so many ways, and especially when it comes to... I mean, she was way ahead of her time. When it came to healthy eating, vegetarianism and all of that. And she's really been an inspiration for you in that sense.
She's been such an inspiration. I mean, without really meaning to, I've kind of mirrored her career, like a photographer, then cooking show, food, you know, vegetarian cookbooks. So, yeah, and I work on her other Linda McCartney food range. I'm a consultant on that. So, yeah, I'm always thinking of my mum. But with the documentary, there was one picture that I always remember seeing, which was a picture of her leading a pony across the zebra crossing.
Yes.
She loved animals so much that, you know, the pony, she was like, oh, let's take it to work.
Is that Jet, the pony?
That's Jet, the pony.
Oh, for goodness sake, Jet.
And she was just like having a puppy or something. She's like, let's take it.
And did it come? Jet came in.
That's just what Mum did. You know, she just didn't care what people thought. She was like, you know, I love animals. It's just I'd rather hang out with the pony than hang out with anyone else today.
And I bet it made everybody feel better, because they do. You know, as soon as you see an animal, see, that would be the way that everybody would be so creative because of Jet.
But in the documentary, Dad says, because I'm like, look, I wanted to do this documentary because I remember seeing this picture of Mum and it made me smile. And he was like, yeah, and I think she brought him into the studio. And I don't think he disgraced himself.
Well done, Jet, because that's always the danger.
So funny.
That's always the danger.
I know, that's why we don't all have ponies to work with us.
Exactly.
I know we all want to,
no,
we can't.
Of course we do. But it is a great thing to do, and something, but you nearly, you were sort of swithering a wee bit, weren't you? You weren't too sure whether to do it or not.
Because, you know, my career's been portrait photography, and then I was invited by the producers. They said, would you direct a documentary? It's my first feature documentary I've directed. And I thought, should the first one be about Abbey Road? Is it too close to home? I've always been like, I need to make my own career path. Yes. And so I shied away, and then I thought, it's an Oscar-winning production company. They're amazing. It's a great team. I do want to direct. And it's a subject I'm passionate about. And also, it's 90 years, so I was like, oh, my goodness, I don't know half of it. It's film soundtrack. Film soundtrack saved Abbey Road. Yeah? Because the big Studio One was for orchestras, and in the 80s, the bookings were drying up. And then they got this big deal to do movie soundtracks, and Raiders of the Lost Ark was one of the first ones. Star Wars, Harry Potter films. Oh, it's fascinating. So many films there, so that kind of stopped it being made into a car park. So.
Oh, thank goodness! Could you imagine?
Yeah, so many stories were like unearthed, and
Oh, it's
so much to jam into 90 minutes.
And I guess, I mean, you've taken so many portraits as your portrait photographer. You did
Yeah.
the Queen, didn't you?
I did do
When
the
was that?
Queen.
Was that 2015?
It was I was commissioned by the Palace to, this was released when she became longest reigning monarch.
Ah.
But it was top secret.
Gosh.
Like, you went in, I was invited, and it's sort of my style, it's kind of informal, and she didn't want any pomp and ceremony. It was like business as usual, longest reigning monarch.
Right.
That's her red box. And the papers, I had a little sneak look in, and it did have her papers.
Wow.
Because I like everything to be quite real and not to be set
of course,
up.
of course. Well, that's what I like about that, because she's not sort of posing.
No, and she's...
In a very sort of formal way. You know,
Yeah.
she looks like she's in the middle of doing her work, yeah.
Well, and also she was sort of chatting and looking out the window because it was when the summer exhibition was, so they sort of were noises going on outside. So she was being quite jolly and talking about that and the exhibition, and she was brilliant. Really unpredictable, really dedicated.
What an amazing thing to have done. Amazing thing to have done. Mary, it's great to see you.
Thank
Good luck with
you.
everything you're doing. I'm sure you'll be directing a lot more, but If These Walls Could Sing, it's out on the 6th of January, isn't it? It's on Disney Plus. 6th of January, and you know, if you're interested in music in any way whatsoever, movies, everything, it's all there. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.